You're listening to Back Pew Convos.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Sal. And this is the podcast God wants you to listen to.
So if you want to remain in God's will, have a sit down.
Grab a beverage of your choice.
And have a listen.
You're welcome. Like, even with some of the prophetic stuff, I've been thinking about this a little bit. Not a whole lot, so I'm probably going to say something stupid. If I say something like that, it's going to be something stupid.
I'm sure we both will say several things that are stupid.
But I've been thinking a lot about... Not a lot. That's a lie. I'm starting right off with a lie. I've been thinking a little bit about... The thought has crossed my mind that I'm not so sure... What actually sparked this, let me backtrack it just a little bit, was my reading of the book. I'll get the title wrong every time. Incarnation and Interpretation, or Inspiration?
Inspiration and Incarnation.
Yeah, whatever. So, just reading that...
Peter Enns.
Yeah, Peter Enns. Just reading that, particularly in the section of... He's exploring how New Testament writers used the Old Testament. And kind of showing... just to put it plainly, first of all, read the book. Don't take my word for it. He's way smarter than me. But... yeah. Just to put it plainly, a lot of times they're just basically ripping stuff out of context. Like it doesn't, the way they're applying it in the New Testament does not in any way fit with the historical context that the original writer wrote it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's examples of that for sure.
And like that kind of got me thinking on some of this like prophecy stuff and like how much of it is actual storytelling, or not story, how much of it is actual like fortune telling, like future telling, like this is like some people would interpret Revelation, we've heard before about like some of the stuff being like, well, these are tanks, but the guy who was writing this didn't know what tanks were, so he wrote using his own language. You know what I mean? Like, it's not so much fortune seeing and telling as like, now that you see it, we look back and can apply it. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know how to word it, I guess, but I'm wondering, I've contemplated a little bit on how much of that is like, how much of prophecy is like, do I even know what prophecy is? Basically, is what I'm saying. Because I've always just traditionally sort of had that view of that it's like basically fortune telling, right? Like that used to be my view of Revelation, was what he's describing here is fighter jets flying through the sky, but he didn't know what those were, so to him they looked like, like,
yeah.
I don't believe that now. Yes. Am I not talking into it? Can you not hear me?
No, you were fine. Your volume and everything is fine. This was pushed up and it was driving me banana sandwich. It looked like this.
I see.
I see. This looked really silly.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty standard for me, actually. Looking silly.
But yeah, I know what you're saying for sure. I don't see it as, I think there's a difference between future telling and God just knowing what's going to happen and relaying that. To me, I don't really view it the same way necessarily. And maybe that's just because fortune telling has sort of like a weird, witchcrafty connotation given my upbringing, but
I worded it that way intentionally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't know. It would seem, and all of that, of course, is going to depend on your conception of time. Because for me, with my conception of God not being bound by time, having access, so to speak, being present in future and past and present, like, to me, it makes sense that he would know certain things, or at least know their potential.
Yeah. I guess what I'm getting at so much is like, I don't think, like Isaiah, right? There's clear prophecies that are traced, that people link to Jesus in Isaiah, right? The suffering servant or whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I believe that Isaiah saw Jesus when he was writing that.
Oh yeah, I don't know that you have to say that either. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like maybe that's what inspiration is that Isaiah had no idea what he was writing, and he thought maybe, perhaps in some situations, maybe he thought he was writing about something else. But
I see what you're saying.
but hindsight, because we've seen the picture of Jesus, right now
Right.
we know what he was actually talking about. So that's like inspiration that underlies. So like in regards to ripping things out of historical context or whatever, maybe
Right.
is it? It could be ripping it out of historical context and still placing it in the right context. Perhaps I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, and part of that just comes down to things have multiple meanings.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it had relevance to Isaiah and to the people that he was
Right.
writing to. It had an actual literal historical relevance to his time and his culture and the people that he had this message given from God to,
Right.
but it also
Right.
has a meaning for us thousands of years later because of Christ, you
Which
know.
that's exactly what I was saying about Revelation a while ago, right? Being cycle, like it's past, present, and future. It's
Right.
something that it's not just some sort of future projection of end time things. Like it's something that's already
Yeah.
happened. We're watching it happen now in our current climate with Christian nationalism and all this other stuff, and it is going to happen again in the future for our children and our children's children. Like it's a continual cycle. Like I think those things are over and over. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like multi-layered. And I think that those other another example is the one that I think it's Matthew that quotes it, right? When it's either Matthew or Luke, obviously, but I think it's Matthew, where Jesus flees to Egypt. Not Jesus, but I mean, Jesus is taken to Egypt by his parents to flee the persecution of Herod. And then
Right.
they write back into, I think it's Hosea that they're quoting. It's the prophecy of, out of Egypt have I called my son. Well, like in
Right.
the historical context, he's talking about like the children of Israel. Like that's pretty clear.
Right.
But Matthew is linking that to Jesus, saying, "No, this is a prophecy about Jesus."
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, I don't think that's a fortune telling or a future telling so much as it's like a no. It was he was writing about the children of Israel, and there's no
Yeah.
denying that. But it is also applicable.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Because but the thing is, if we didn't already have that link made for us, there would be plenty of folks that'd be like, well, listen, you're just completely taking that out of context. It says right here, clearly says who this is referring to, and it ain't Jesus Christos.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. But when the when the New Testament authors do it, it's fine.
Right.
And that is literally what a lot of people would say to that. Like, it's not like like scholars and even like fundamentalist scholars and things like that aren't aware
Yeah.
of those things, but they would say something like that. They'd say like, well, it was okay for the New Testament authors to do it because they were inspired, but not you. Don't you even think about it,
Well, don't
pal.
ever tell me I'm not inspired because I will be inspired to break your nose. Just kidding.
So violent.
I know it. It's my natural tendency. I've said that on the show before. My natural inclination is violence.
Mm.
I have that Norse blood in me, the Viking blood. I have this violence runs in my veins.
Yeah. It takes me longer to get there, but I can get there.
I've had to work really hard to suppress it, honestly. Like to
Yeah.
to try to change my nature, I guess you would say, from being
Yeah.
a bit angry and angsty and violent tendent to worked out good for me in football though. Maybe a good football player.
Right. Yeah. I speaking of we were
Speaking of violence or football.
well, violence. Um but also you were talking about the book of Revelation and it being relevant to our time and our culture with Christian nationalism and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, Hermano.
I've been back on that stuff. I need to stop.
The Christian nationalism?
Yeah, all of it.
Yucky.
All that kind of stuff in that space, you know. Christian Zionism, Christian nationalism, and uh, I listened to several podcasts today And this a similar theme is interesting because like the topics that I listened to weren't entirely unrelated, but they were unrelated enough that I was surprised that there was a sort of continuous theme that kept coming up and worded in different ways, and but essentially this theme was the idea that there is we are indoctrinated into a rival religion. It's like the theme was essentially about the theme that kept coming up was evangelizing to Christians. Actually, that it seems that at least for the moment, there's plenty of Christians in America that need evangelizing. Let's forget about the atheists and the the Muslims and the Buddhists and whoever for now. Let's evangelize the Christians for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a pretty constant theme in some of the things that I listened to today.
I would argue that that's actually very biblical as well. That's where our entire New Testament comes from.
Yep.
Like all those letters of Paul, he was writing. He's not writing any of that to non-believers. It's all written to believers, people that are already believing.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's it's why. Oh, well, I don't know.
That to me, that's where my angst. I haven't had angst about this in a while, so congratulations for bringing this back up. No, no,
You're
but that's
welcome.
where my initial angst with the whole like pushback against, not really even pushback, the dismissal and the mischaracterization of deconstruction from the likes of like the Alyssa Childers of the world, right? Like that's where it frustrates me so much because it's like these people are it's no you're disregarding it but in writing it off instead of looking in the mirror, which is what the whole thing is about, right? Like they're I mean, it's just exact. We talked about a whole episode about it, about the Rhett and Link. We were responding to that little thing they said, and they hit it spot on.
Yeah.
Like people aren't leaving the church because they're falling in love with sin or they want to sin. You know what I mean? They're leaving because they grew up reading the words of Jesus, and then that's not being reflected back in the church that they're attending. You know what I mean? That's why people are leaving.
Yeah.
That's why we're in the situation that we're in. But that gets, if you don't take that seriously and you just write it off and like, oh, they're just wanting to live in sin, like, well, then there's no repentance. There's nothing,
Right.
you know? And
Yeah.
that's to me, that was I used the phrase angst and frustration, but really for me, it was a mourning. Like I went through a mourning about that because I was like, I don't see any healing, any way this heals. Like it, it feels hopeless.
I think that there is healing, but I will say this: it won't happen until there's repentance. But part of repentance is acknowledging the need for it, and which is exactly what you were just saying. Like if we can't even acknowledge that we have a problem, that the problem isn't this 19-year-old kid who went off to college and now he's left the church, like he's not the problem.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying that those people are perfect, but like the church has to own up to its crap. And we're really good at not doing that.
Yeah.
Again, this was just a constant theme throughout everything that, because like I listened to Brian Zond, and he was talking about, the Christianity in America, and he said something to the extent of Americans are, or Christians in America are already something about the role of the pastor is to, I can't remember if he said evangelize or disciple um, people who are already steeped in a rival religion, which is like America. And he goes through like how America is itself a religion in a sense. Like it has founding fathers, it has
It very much
creeds,
is.
it
It's
has
got religious texts.
right.
the Constitution and Bill of Rights and all that. I mean,
It has iconography.
yeah.
It has all of the things that make a religion a religion. It has those things. America has those things.
Gosh, don't even get me started on that. With flags in the sanctuary and God Bless America being sung in services and
Yeah.
oh gosh. Now
But
you're
yeah,
really going to get me fired up.
but like that, so that was like the first thing I listened to, but that theme just kept coming up as far as like we're already thoroughly discipled into rival religions. And it wasn't just that one, but then I went on to listen to a couple episodes of Theology in the Raw where he was talking to people that were Palestinian Christians, and it was the same thing. There's been this, we've been raised and brought up in, and some of it due to just our own ignorance, is like these Islamophobia and all kinds of things that we just are, we're just ignorant of. Like so many people, including myself in the past, like have just assumed that everyone in Palestine is an Islamic extremist, and like Hamas is just everyone in Palestine, and like they're the bad guys, and Israel's the good guys, and like it's oversimplified, and like
And we don't realize how much propaganda that we soak in a day,
yeah,
man. Like, and I don't just mean things that you disagree with or, things that you agree with is all propaganda. I mean, from all angles, from every side, from this,
right,
we're
yeah.
just from the time we wake up until the time we go to sleep, we're inundated with propaganda. And then we're so inundated with it that we probably dream in propaganda because
Mm,
that's our lived reality. I mean,
yeah. And but it was again, it was the same thing that uh, at least one, if not both, of the guys that were Palestinian Christians that I listened to today talking about the issues there were said that like the best thing we can do is try to reach out to fellow Christians to try to, in a sense, he didn't use this term, but evangelize
yeah.
Christians. And then I listened to Jamar Tisby talking about racial issues, and it's basically the same kind of deal. Like we have to own up to our crap. We have to own up to the things that we need to educate ourselves, own up to our bull crap, and try to move forward in a better direction. I don't know what all that looks like, but I know that it's gonna have to involve some repentance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that kind of tracks with something I said to you yesterday. Actually, I said to you something that I had been kind of thinking on a little bit that formerly would have really ticked me off, to be honest, is just the diversity in Christianity, like just overall, the overarching Christianity, how much diversity there is in Christianity. Like, and this probably exists in other religions too. I just don't know enough about them. I only know about Christianity, but there's people there. I mean, there's Calvinists, there's Catholics, there's progressive Christians. I would even consider, universal Unitarians. Not necessarily, I don't know that they consider themselves Christians, but some of them do. Like, it's just there's such a wide swath of theology. There's such a wide swath of ways of practicing Christianity that formerly that would have ticked me off because I'm very straight laced as far as like there is a right and there is a wrong, and like if it's even in theology, there's a right and there's a wrong. And so if it's not right, then it's wrong. You know what I mean? And we've got to find the
Right.
right way to do it. But then, like, if you think about it, like, diversity exists just in general. We all live different lives. We all live in different places. We all have different needs. We all perceive the world around us differently. You know what I mean? And so, like, obviously, we're going to have a diversity of thought. Like if Christianity is truly universal, if it's for everybody, then it's got to speak different languages. It's got to just the things that are important to these people over here aren't going to be the same things that are important to these people over here. And it's not that we should shun these other groups that disagree with us or see something a little different than us. It's like it's just a different perspective, but we're all brothers and sisters and siblings in this thing together. You know what I mean? Like this diversity, I don't think is something that we should shun. It's something that we should embrace. And like that doesn't necessarily mean you have to agree with what these other people are saying, but just recognize that it's just part of the same family, like we're just seeing the same thing differently through different eyes. We've lived different lives, we've experienced different things. I mean, those Palestinian Christians have a different life than I've experienced. The things that are important to them are different than the things that are important to me because we've lived different experiences. You know what I mean? So, like, our
Yeah.
Christianity, I guarantee you, looks different. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think that that's something that we should shun, but we sort of seems to, at least from my experience, we do sort of seem to do that. Like, we want to group together with people who agree exactly like me, and like, if there's somebody who disagrees about this, we want to like try to not necessarily like push them out, but like let's correct their theology. Let's come back in line with it. You got to align with these rules that we've set out, or
Right. Which does always bring the question up for me, like, when is the right time to not agree to disagree? When is the right time to say, you know what? I understand that we can have different perspectives, but we have to agree this is wrong.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There is a line there, and I don't always know where it is, but
right. I don't know that anybody knows where it is, and I think that that's because it's a conversation, right? Like life is complicated. Everything about life. It's the same thing that we've talked about with like trying to force the law on people, right? Well, like the law is very black and white, and life ain't black and white. Like it's just not. There's shades of gray all around life, and so trying to find that line isn't a just, well, this is the line and that's it. Like there's always a conversation around it because it's life's not simple like that, man.
yeah,
I mean, for me personally, as long as you're not hurting other people, I don't care what you do. But it's just me. I think that for me, that's a non-negotiable. There's got to be a pretty clear line between people hurting themselves or hurting other people. I mean,
yeah.
you know,
Well, it's yeah, and that's why I said what I was saying. Like, we have to agree at that point. I think. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the best approach is as far as like Israel and Palestine and how to move forward in a healthy way with like the racial injustice and all those things. Like, I don't know what to do about that, but I know that it can't look like further hurting
right.
and
Well, it does get really complicated, especially because like for me, I've got a very particular like, and I think this is true of all Christians, right? Like you think you know who Jesus is, what he stands for. That's kind of part of the deal.
yeah,
So when I see things that I feel like are just blatantly against everything that Jesus stood for, then I don't know. Like that's where it gets frustrating for me, right? It's like I know that we want to call ourselves Christians, but if we're doing things and celebrating things that are diametrically opposed to the things that he talked about,
yeah,
like taking care of the least of these, right? I know that's what I said to you earlier. We were talking a little bit about the big beautiful bill or whatever, and like looking through it's pretty clearly going to. I mean, it's not going to hurt everybody, but the people it is going to hurt are the most vulnerable. Like
yeah. Listen, I asked ChatGPT, and that's what it said, and everyone knows that ChatGPT is right about everything.
exactly. But I mean, it didn't just say that, it laid out why. And it's
Yeah,
true. Like, from my knowledge, from what I can understand, like, yeah, for people like me, it's probably going to help me.
right.
I don't need help though. Like, really, like, I'm not the most vulnerable. Like, it's not that I saying I don't need help. Like, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not rich or anything, but like, I'm not starving either. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but the people that's going to hurt the most are the most vulnerable of society. Like the very people that Jesus spoke about helping and having the most compassion on are the ones that were, and that's being celebrated by. I mean, not by all Christians, but again, 80 some odd percent of people supported this guy as president, and this is his bill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah,
to me, I don't know how to reconcile that. Like, it upsets me, it frustrates me because on one hand, I say everything that I just said 10 minutes ago about accepting diversity and people see things differently than me and blah, blah, blah. But then it's so contrary from my understanding of Jesus and what he taught and what he stands for that I don't know how to reconcile those things, man. Like, I don't know what to do with that.
The only way that I can make any sense of it is if you say that I'm keeping my political views and my Christian morals entirely separate from each other. I don't know how
Yeah, I don't know how
one
that.
could do
I don't
that,
know how you do that.
but that's the only way I can think of it that you could neatly, you'd have to sort of neatly divide those two things up. I don't
See,
know.
I don't even think personally. I don't think you can do that. But that's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Because here's the thing, like if there's anything that seems to be a common theme that not only did Jesus teach, but he freaking lived out, man. It was self-giving love. It was a willingness to lay your life down for the sake of the other, including your enemy. People that you maybe don't think deserve it.
Yeah.
Like it's that is what he taught. That is what he lived. That is to his last breath, that's what he lived. Was a he didn't try to save his life. And he tells us if you try to save your life, you'll lose it. Like if there's a particular piece of legislation or a particular political party that you're like, maybe I should support this or that, or president that you think you should vote for, any sort of elected official, you're like, hey, maybe I should support this person or whatever. Shouldn't your first question not be, how is this going to benefit me? But how is this going to benefit my enemies? How is this going to benefit my neighbor? How is this going to benefit the least of these? All the folks from Matthew 25.
Right.
And he says that Matthew 25 is about nations, by the way, specifically,
Yeah.
which I understand. It's a different, like nation states weren't a thing back then, but still.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It only gets added frustrations for me because like I didn't hear much from the outside of like the select group that I would expect. You know, more of the some of the Christian voices that I generally listen to that are a little more progressive outcry against that. I didn't hear a whole lot of that in the general regarding that bill, but I did hear a heck of a lot of complaints about Chip and Joanna Gaines. How dare they have a gay couple on their show? They featured a gay couple. Can you believe that?
I haven't heard anything about that.
And just there was so much outrage about that. Like there was nothing about taking food stamps from poor people or people losing their health care coverage. Who gives a damn about that? But how dare that's that's discrimination against Christians there. That's it's just man, it's so frustrating to me. Like that's where I get real cynical. If you can't tell, I get pretty cynical pretty quickly.
I don't care what your stance is on LGBTQ plus issues, like that issue and the like. I don't care what your stance is on that as a Christian. Can you not see that, like, at least on an optics level, that just is a bad look? That's just weird.
Well,
It's a TV show.
and that's really what I'm getting at. Is like not only is it just a TV show, but if we're gonna hang our hat on something of like this is what the Christian stands for. It's not that we need to make sure that the hungry people are fed. It's not that we need to make sure that people have appropriate access to health care. It's to heck with the gay people. Like that's Jesus never spoke about it. Not once did Jesus spoke about it. Like that's the one thing that we're honed in on, that we're really going to focus on and be like, no, now that's where that's our Christian standard right there. Like
Yeah,
even if you think it's a sinful thing, like
right.
that's I don't agree with that, but if you do, that's fine. But it shouldn't be the first thing on your mind, like your number one issue. That's what it is. Like
You shouldn't be more outraged that some celebrity couple has a gay couple on their reality TV show or whatever. Like that
right.
shouldn't bring more outrage than the fact that children aren't going to have food, people aren't going to have access to health care, we're not welcoming the stranger. Like all those things from Matthew 25, all the things, literally every single one of them, except for maybe the poor. I think when I asked ChatGPT, that was the only thing that was like, possibly the big beautiful bill could help some people that are working poor. Some of the working poor maybe
Yeah.
are going to benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean,
Everyone else, no.
it's certainly not a black and white, like if it's going to hurt these people and help these people, and that's admitted. But there's specifically the biggest things that it outlined to me was those cuts to SNAP benefits and the cuts to the healthcare that are going to affect
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
The most vulnerable, which to me, the healthcare thing is just so, I mean, obviously the SNAP thing is big too, but to me, the healthcare thing is just outrageous because we are already behind in healthcare anyway. And then that, like, to me, that should be the one thing that we should all be able to agree upon is like, you should have access to healthcare. And when I say access to healthcare, I also mean it shouldn't be like you get sick by no fault of your own and it ruins your life because now you're in such medical debt that you can't do anything. Like it ruins your life. And then not only does it ruin your life, but because you get in debt, it affects your children. Now they have a hole that they have to crawl out. Like that's how capitalism works. It's like, yeah, if you're born into rich parents, all you got to do is not screw it up and you're good. But like to crawl out of poverty, it takes generations upon generations making the right decisions and having good luck, and to finally get to a situation, you know what I mean? And all it takes is one illness, and it ruins it all.
Right.
And then not only are you screwed, but your children are screwed, your grandchildren probably are, and then hopefully by that third generation or fourth generation, they're finally catching back up again. you know?
Yeah. One thing that I thought was just doesn't make any sense to me in the bill was as big a deal as they're making about undocumented immigrants and sending people back and trying to cut down on illegal immigration. Wouldn't you want to make it easier for people?
Oh no! Well, the
They
thing was,
added all those fees to the visas and stuff.
oh yeah,
Like,
well the thing was never about immigration. It's about racism. It's about that was always the thing. That's why we don't even do due process anymore. They're just rounding up people. You look like you're an immigrant, round you up. It's ridiculous, man. To me, at least, that's. I mean, again, I get pretty cynical about the thing, but to me, it's never been about immigration.
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. That I just that blew my mind when I saw that. Now, maybe it shouldn't. To your point, maybe it shouldn't have. I don't know. But I was really
I mean, I already
taken
knew
aback by that.
because I have heard people say all along, that was always everybody's excuse. Well, I don't care for immigrants to come here, but they just need to do it the right way, need to do it the legal way. And then, like, I actually when we were in Honduras, I talked to people about this who were trying to get visas to come to to come to the United States of America. Not peasant, like not poor people,
Yeah.
people that have means, that had the money, and still just even getting an appointment, going through the process, they couldn't even. They had the means to do it, had the money to come over here, and they could. It would always get pushed out next year. You're 3 years down the road trying to. And some of these people don't have that time. Like it's just not.
Yeah.
The process is broken. It always has been, but we're not interested in fixing it because it's never been about immigration.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure we've sufficiently peed everybody off at this point.
Well, I mean, if I've pissed off some racists, I hope so. I hope I continue to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of this stuff can wear on you, and it just gets the where the rubber meets the road for me is like whenever we're trying to navigate all of that and also think about, man, what did Jesus teach and how did he live his life? Because to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how you can support any of it. Well, that's why I'm more apolitical than anything. I don't know how you could support anybody. I almost don't know that you can. I wish I could remember that George MacDonald quote. It was something to the. I don't want to. It was good, and I don't want to
Yeah, don't
ruin it.
And if you do it, you've got to do it in an Irish accent. Is he Scottish or Irish?
Scottish.
It's got to be Scottish.
Yeah. I don't know if I could even if I looked it up, I could find it. But essentially, like, there's there's not any good people running for that position. It's only crappy people that even want to
Yeah.
that they even want to lord over their neighbors.
I believe I'm actually going to quote this, but I actually heard something similar to that, not from George McDonald, but from Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a big Joe Rogan guy anymore. I used to listen to him quite a bit several years ago, maybe 10 years ago, but I don't care much for him anymore. But he actually said that before when listening to his podcast. He said that, like, what kind of person wants that job? Like, the only person that you want to vote for is the person that doesn't want that job. If they want
right,
that job, that's probably not the person that you want to vote for. Like,
right, yeah. So I don't know. I get that's where this all this conversation leads me. It leads me further away from politics, but like I said, I have that internal struggle of like wanting to help stand up for the folks that need it,
yeah,
that need a voice. But I just honestly don't know that my vote is doing that in any sense of, in any real tangible way. So,
yeah. I believe it was Mark Twain that said if voting changed anything, they wouldn't let us do it. So,
mm, touche. Yeah. Stick that in your corncob pipe and smoke it.
corncob pipe.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe you got me ranting on politics. Actually, I can. You told me beforehand. We probably shouldn't.
Well, just because I knew that, like, if I was going to talk about anything that I've been thinking about today, it was going to end up in politics because, like I said, everything I listened to today had to do with the church and immigration, essentially, Christian nationalism, the war with,
Sounds like your day was a lot more of a bummer than mine.
racial
If somebody could, if
injustice.
somebody could look at my history on my phone of the things I listened to today, it would be the most nonsensical day that anybody could have ever had. I listened to the New Evangelicals respond to what they called cringe Christian videos,
Yeah,
which was a little bit lighthearted and funny. There was,
yeah,
if you don't take it too seriously, you can bum yourself out with some of that stuff, but
right.
it was done in a lighthearted manner, and so it was more humorous to me. Um, so that's what I started the day with this morning. And then I watched a video that featured Father John Bear
Yeah,
talking about um, the big takeaway I got from it was like personhood, and like what's it mean to be a person, what is a person, and which that was. I was listening while I was working, so I was kind of in and out. I need to go back and listen to it again, but there was some good stuff in there. And then after lunch, I listened to some Big X the Plug, and then I listened to an hour and a half of Hylung.
hmm. Well, there you
So it was pretty much as eclectic of a mix as you can find.
go. Sounds like it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just been listening to tons of podcasts. I have found new audiobooks that I want to listen to when I have the opportunity. Several of Jamar Tisby's books are on Spotify. So,
I'm just having a really hard time focusing when I listen to stuff now. Like that's why I've had to resort back to listening to music a lot. It's just because I miss too much. Even what used to be my time to listen to podcasts and really like sort of zone out and actually be able to pay attention while I'm listening to was when I run. But now my mind runs so fast. Like I'm always thinking about so many things that like I'll get 20 minutes into the episode and I have no idea what's going on. Like I really wanted to listen to the new Rethinking God with Tacos. It's John Crowder was on there. I find him to be a kind of an interesting fella.
I listened to that one.
And I started listening to it, and I was like probably 20 minutes in, and I was like, I haven't heard a word that has been said so far. Like, just because my mind is running a million miles an hour thinking about everything else, I can't pay attention.
Yeah. I've been using ChatGPT a lot.
Yeah, me too. I like that. I think we were going to talk a little bit about that today, weren't we?
That's why I said that.
Okay,
I was
here's a
trying to
transition.
transition us.
That was a good little transition. I ruined it. I kind of ruined it.
That's all good. Yeah, we were going to talk about AI and what the implications of that are for the future of the church and
Yeah.
theology and doctrine and all that.
We're definitely not going to talk about it from a technical aspect because I am not smart enough for that.
I have no idea. Yeah, that'd be a no go for me.
I've actually only recently I've really started using it a lot. Today I ran out of chances. They said I had to wait 5 hours to ask again. It was like going to lower me a tier or whatever unless I paid for the premium subscription.
So you were just asking questions?
Just asking all kinds of stuff, bro.
Well, because it's only ever done that to me whenever I was like creating images or something.
Oh yeah, no images,
Mm,
just questions.
he was really killing it then.
I'm a curious guy.
I mean, I usually will ask question after question after question, but I've never asked so many in a row that it told me, "Listen, guy, I need a break."
Yeah, it's basically like I'm taking a lunch hour, bro.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, no, it said it lowered me down a tier, whatever that. I don't know how it works. So I don't know what that means. Or I could pay for the ChatGPT Plus, and it would keep it going. Or I could just wait 5 hours, and it I can start asking more questions. I guess. So
Hmm.
yeah, as a someone who's just got into using it, I'm finding it to be a very useful tool.
Yeah,
As a normal guy, I guess I would say, as a non-scholar and non-academic,
right.
I'm finding it to be really helpful to put things in ways that I can understand or at least help me to better understand. You know,
Yeah.
like I think I mentioned in the last episode that I was looking into Paul Tillich's theology a little. Like I'd heard his name, but I didn't know a thing about what he believed. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I read some of his stuff and some things about some things he said, I was still a little bit like, I think I know what he's saying, but I'm not really sure. Like it's sort of that kind of stuff. And then but then like ChatGPT has really like helped to clarify it a lot more to where like, okay, now I think I know. I've got a better grasp of not that I understand what he's saying, but I've got a better grasp on it, you know.
Yeah. The only thing that makes me nervous with doing that is I don't know what sources where it's pulling this information from, you know? Like, I guess I don't, going back to the technical side of it, I don't know enough about the technology, like where all
Yeah.
the information is coming from that, like, I don't, like, is it, like, if you ask for a summary of a book,
Yeah.
does it actually have access to every book that's ever been written and is like actually like
I don't know.
summarizing it for you that way, or
Well,
is it like book based on book reviews or something? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I do know that, like, going back to the Tillich thing, like, it has quoted things from his, like,
yeah,
systematic theology that he wrote, you know, or
right,
like some of the books that he wrote. The New Being, you know, like it quotes directly from the book to like support what it's saying. So
yeah, yeah. I was just curious, but yeah, the same thing for me. I've only been using it for like maybe this past like a week or so, but it's been super helpful. Yeah, it's really helped me to. I've been asking a ton of questions about the church fathers, you know,
yeah, yeah,
Gregory Nyssa and Maximus, and trying to get a better handle on it. Really is, it's kind of like it's not this. And this is actually I think what made me ask the question to you about like what we're talking about was like I had the thought this is fantastic. This is like having uh, a scholar and theologian at your fingertips to
yeah.
ask any question you want. That was the thought I had, but then I was like, wait a second. I don't know that that's right, and I don't know that it's a good thing. So that was kind of the
I definitely think you have to have a balance with it, man.
yeah,
I think it's a super helpful tool, but like, yeah, I can see where you can cross that line into like dangerous territory with it for sure.
yeah,
See, the thing that stood out to me about it was because, you know, when you ask a question, you'll ask a direct question to it and it'll give you a response, but then it always kind of closes with, like, would you be interested in this? And then, like,
yeah.
one of the things that you had sent me that you asked it, like, one of the things that it followed it up with was, like, would you like me to put this in the sermon format? And I was like, bro, this thing is right. I wonder how many sermons were delivered this weekend that wasn't even written by a person. That like they just the pastor went to ChatGPT, put in what they wanted the sermon to be about, and it's just an AI generated sermon being delivered from the pulpit. And like,
I guarantee tons of people are doing that
and I
now.
don't know that that's a bad thing, but I don't know it's a good thing. I don't know. There's a part of me that's just, but that automatically is like, oh, that's not good. That's a bad thing. But
Yeah.
then I like try to think through that logically. I'm like, is it a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know that it is.
Yeah. See, I know why I might think that it's a bad thing, but it raises all kinds of questions, really. Because, like, you could argue that it could potentially do away with you even needing to study the scriptures yourself.
Well, the thing is, and people aren't doing that anyway. So kidding.
But that's kind of that. But that's another good point, though. Like, if and maybe that's I don't know that that's a good thing. So, like, if they're like, why are we making it? The people are already aren't doing that. Why make it easier to not do that? Like, at least like before this, if you had a question about something in the Bible, you would have to actually go and read it.
Yeah, but then you're risking a bad interpretation, or when I say bad interpretation, I mean like one that's like completely erroneous, maybe even contrary to.
Yeah,
I mean, just to give a kind of extreme example, people nowadays go to the Bible and can justify violence against other people.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they interpret it that way. So
I do wonder how much of it is catering. Is it catering answers to you specifically, though?
I bet it is. I
Be-
had that same thought too.
Because I do wonder, like, if I asked, well, I don't know. I don't want to. Never mind. I,
I don't want you to know what I'm asking my AI bot.
no, actually, what I was gonna say, I was gonna like name a name, like two people. If there's two people that have like diametrically opposed views on a particular theological issue or whatever,
Me and you.
well, it could be. You weren't who I was thinking about, but yeah. And so if you ask the same about the same question or same story in the Bible, whatever, and you're like, help me get an interpretation of this, like a good interpretation of what this means, would it tailor
You
the
know,
interpretation depending on who it is
you know
that's
what we can
asking it?
do? We need to experiment. Me and you will just ask it the exact same question at the exact same time, and we'll see if it spits out the exact same thing, or if it. But we have to wait 5 hours. Well, probably 4 hours now. But
I was gonna say let's do it live here on TV, on not TV, on the podcast.
on the YouTubes, yeah, that was about probably about 10 to 4. So I've still got about 3 hours to wait before I
No,
can ask any questions.
this podcast would have to be like, I don't know, 5 hours long. How long we've been going? I don't even know how long we've been going here.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, but that's what we need to do. We need to experiment to see, because I have a hunch it does do that, because I
yeah.
can kind of tell by some of the. There's no way. There's no way that I'm that smart. It's definitely tailoring answers to me. It's trying to build me up. It's trying to make me think I'm smart.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of it I don't know that it knows for sure, but maybe has like it's even crazy to say this because this is not a person, but like it can trick your mind into thinking you're just talking to a person.
Yeah.
But like it's it's almost like maybe because for example, like today whenever I asked about the least of these, I asked the first thing I asked was how will I want an unbiased a politically unbiased opinion. Uh, I just want you to look at the data and tell me how is Trump's big beautiful bill going to affect the average American? That was the first question I asked. And it gave me this thing and then I said, "All right, given all of this, how will this affect what Matthew 25 calls the least of these?" And then it gave me exactly an answer that I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of what I thought based on what I read before." Like, yeah,
Right.
based on what it had told me about the bill, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But would it have said that to anyone who asked or not?
Right.
But it's not like I have been asking a ton of questions in that vein. I think that's the first thing I asked about anything political at all.
Right.
So I don't know how it would have known.
Yeah, but been asking so many things theologically, and Maximus and some of the strands of theology. That thing is so smart, dude. Like
I don't know.
I asked it even before I really got to using it hardcore, like I have this week. I asked it last week because I'd seen like one of those little fun things on Facebook or whatever, and it was like ask ChatGPT to give like a synopsis of your personality based on the things that you've asked it, and like
Yeah.
it spit out this thing, and I was like, dang, how does it know this? Like it was spot on, to
Yeah.
like scary spot on, and I bet it could give me an even crazier answer because I've asked so many more questions. Like,
Yeah. I asked I asked it that same thing today because I was curious. I saw where you did that,
mm-hmm,
and I was like, or you told me or sent it to me or something,
yeah,
and then I was like, oh, I've asked it a few questions now. Let's see what it would say, and I thought it was pretty accurate
yeah.
as well.
What was the one that it called you? I liked a justice-oriented disciple.
Yeah, something like that.
I like that. That's a pretty cool title.
Yeah.
That's something you can hang your hat on there. You're a justice-oriented disciple.
Yeah.
Well, it really did hit me because I don't remember exactly what mine said, but it said that like a lot of the questions that I asked are very existential and like they're really hard questions. Not like hard necessarily in the sense of like high intellectual, but hard in a sense of existential. Like I'm asking these questions that show that I'm really thinking about like existence and like going
Yeah.
places that a lot of people aren't willing to go because it's pushing the boundaries of what you're comfortable even knowing and asking, and it sort of just laid out how, based on that, how I'm a seeker and like I've got these deep longing within me to just to know the deeper truths that are beyond just like
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to ask harder questions and go deeper than a lot of people, but because of that you spent a lot of time feeling probably ostracized, not really ostracized, but as an outsider, like you probably don't really fit in too well because of this stuff, and I was like, man, I mean, that's kind of been the story of my last 10 years,
Yeah. Mine referred to me as a theologian several times,
There you
and
go.
that kind of made me feel good.
It's not called me that.
I'm not a theologian. You're the truth seeker. I'm a theologian.
I would consider myself more of in the vein of philosophy than theology, probably. Maybe. I mean, those two things are pretty closely linked, but
Yeah, well, they should be. But I think some folks try to get away with not tying philosophy in, but I don't know that you can.
I was really thinking about something. This is gonna. I don't even know if I should go there. Actually, it's not. It's not like a bad thing. It was just. It's not on topic, but the reason why it sparked my mind is because I was thinking about ChatGPT and some of the things that me and you had asked it, and
Yeah,
but I was just thinking about it this morning about how different things make sense to you than make sense to me, and how different things resonate with me that don't resonate with you.
yeah,
And I got to thinking about like our different personalities and how me and you are different as individuals, and like I wonder if some of that has to do with like I think maybe you're more like left brain and I'm more right brain, or vice versa. I don't know which side of the brain does which, but all I mean is you tend to be more of like you're more emotional than me and like more sentimental, I would say, more artsy. You're a musician, like I'm more.
I think that's right brain.
Yeah, so maybe you're more right, I'm left. Like I'm more, I guess what I would call like logic based, rationale, science, like data, like you know what I mean, like the opposite of emotional. And that's not to say that you're not that also and that I'm not what you are also, but I
Right.
don't think that those are our dominants. We're opposite dominant. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And that's caused, I think, some of that, like, not rift, because we don't have a rift between us, but that's why, like, we are notice, the more we have these conversations, the more I'm noticing, like, things that resonate with you. No, it's not that they don't resonate with me, but maybe not as much, and vice versa,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like things that I think a great example of that is like that conversation that we had a while back where I said kind of just as like a throwaway thing about the whole like, well, what if all of us are just kind of living our own realities?
yeah, yeah,
And then like I don't even know why I said that. Like I was kind of like throwing stuff out there.
yeah,
But then you really latched onto that and like that's kind of like that led you into all the Tillich stuff and like yeah,
yeah.
that's I think that's a good example.
Yeah, and I was thinking of it specifically, but even just because of some of the stuff from yesterday. Like I know that the stuff that I sent from you yesterday morning about Tillich probably didn't resonate very much with you. Like it was probably good information. It was nice to know, but it probably didn't resonate that much with you. And like some of that stuff that you sent me from Maximus, like it was good. Or not from Maximus, but like the whole compass thing. Like it was good.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Like I thought it was good, but it also didn't answer some of the deeper questions that I have, right? Like when I'm asking like how is the cross the magnet that draws everything into it? Like I want to know how. Like scientifically, how does this work? You know what I mean? Like obviously not scientifically, but that's what I'm saying. Like I don't like grandiose words and putting it in a nice poetic way doesn't like I don't care about that. I just want to know the how. You know what I mean? Which is more like logic based, more that's what led me into thinking about like I don't know like I do feel like that like where I those like things that sound really good like that doesn't do much for me. It seems to resonate a little more with you than it does me, which I think just is our different personalities, right? Like that stuff resonates better with you.
Yeah. So would you consider yourself a modernist in that sense
I
then?
don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know what a modernist is.
Well, like I mean, maybe I'm just completely off and making stuff up here. I thought that like the difference between like a modernist and postmodern would be like modernist, like a real emphasis on a need for to look at the data. Like we need scientific.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh, we I don't know how else to explain
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean, I just don't. I'm not good
No.
with labels. I've never spent any,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Right.
that's even just some of those. Like, I've had every single time the word ontology comes up, I have to look it up again because I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I don't. I just
Right.
don't care about labels like that. I don't. Like I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say probably to a fault. Like, I'm not saying it as a good thing. I'm just saying that's for whatever reason. That's how my brain works. Like, I want to know the how. Like, I don't it's not good enough for me to just to say something. Like I need to understand the how, like even some of the recent conversations that we've had about Jesus having a human nature and a divine nature, and they cannot be separated, so it's all existing simultaneously together and it can't be unbroken. Like I understand that from a like this is what the creeds say and this is what the church history says and this and this and this, but I need to understand it literally. Like how does this work, because these are two things that don't go together for me and I can't make it work. Like and I don't know why. Like I just that's it's like literally I can't make it work. You know what I mean? Like that's the trouble for me. It's like I can read all the grandiose ways and the most poetic ways that the church fathers can put it, and it doesn't help me to understand how literally this can work. Like you know?
Yeah, see, to me, it's not. I don't see any issue with it.
Right.
I mean, not that I understand it
Right.
fully, but like the how of it isn't necessarily something that I struggle with, I guess. As far as like, how can Jesus have two natures? Is that the question that you're
Yeah, it's not just how can there be two natures, which I think is kind of contradictory to begin with, but if one being divine, at least because this is kind of chat gpt related too, at least using the definition that chat gpt gave us when we asked it, you asked it, because it kind of described at least like the divine nature, talking about the divine attributes, right? Like omniscience, omnipresent. Like one being
hmm
just cannot be omnipresent and not omnipresent at the same time. It just cannot be. Like, I don't even care if we're talking about God. It's like the same kind of question of God. Can God create a rock that he can't? Like, if we're going to say that those two things can exist together simultaneously in one being, then those words are meaningless. Like the words are meaningless. So why are we even having any discussion about anything? Like, no, words don't matter anymore. Like you can't completely just throw out definitions of words because then it doesn't mean anything. So like you can't, to me at least, I don't know how we get around at least the tension of how are we going to say that one being can be simultaneously omnipresent and not omnipresent
because we can't tear these things apart. It's not like his divine nature can be omnipresent and his human nature isn't omnipresent, because that's tearing them apart. They have to remain together simultaneously. That's a contradiction. That doesn't work for me. Like, I can't get around that. I don't know how one processes that and tries to think that that doesn't make a contradiction. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So that's where, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, really, that's the nuts and bolts of it, you know?
I mean, that is the mystery
Yeah.
for sure. Like there is the communication of attributes, right? Like certain, uh, like the. Did I send you all that stuff about that?
I don't remember that, so probably not.
Um, so there's this idea that like Jesus has, because he has the two wills, or well, according to Maximus and post Chalcedon, he
Right.
has two wills, but two natures, and so he has his divine nature and is able to communicate attributes of the divine to the human, or whatever, not in a way that they're not like mixed or anything, but like communicable attributes. Which doesn't
See, that doesn't.
that's not making any more sense, I know, but
Yeah.
like the so
But that's what I'm pointing at, though, as far as like just the way our brains work, right? Because even that is just, to me, that's just silly. Like, it's just nonsense. Like,
yeah. And I do know that Maximus, uh, one thing I do like about Maximus is he from what very little bit that I do know about Maximus and his theology, he leans into that mystery of the paradox of the opposites,
yeah,
you know. And I think that accounts for actually a lot of stuff in the scriptures. That's one reason why I've not only just because I think that Maximus, it's not like it's just a way of explaining what the creeds have said. I think it makes a lot of sense with some of the stuff in scripture too. But
yeah, maybe.
because like one example is, and I know that you don't agree with this, but like the virgin birth, like those are two things. Like you can't be a virgin, just like you can't have two wills, one that's human and one divine. You can't be a virgin and be pregnant. Those are two things that are
Right,
impossible,
right.
but the impossible is made possible in Jesus.
That's why I don't believe it literally happened. Like,
Right.
but that's what I mean about the way that my brain works and the way like that. To me, those things just don't work. Like, it's what is it? Because I'm trying to explain it without being offensive in the way I explain it. Because I'm not trying to be, but sometimes it's hard to get across what I want to without it. Without, because we're talking about things that don't make sense to us. Right? So,
Right.
um, but a lot of times stuff like that, like just leaning into the mystery, you're like acknowledging that these two things can exist, but they just do. Like, to me, that's not so much of like mystery as like, is it mystery, or are you just wrong? Like, should you just update your hypothesis, right? Like, to me, that's the difference between like apologetics and like scientific method. Is the apologetics has its ending point isn't changing. It is what it is. You're taking this, like, this has to be true. This is my non-negotiable. Now I've got to find a way to make it work. And sometimes the only way to make it work is it's just a mystery. I don't know. I can't make it work. I'm gonna just it's a mystery. But the scientific method says, oh, that doesn't work. Now I'm gonna have to update my endpoint. I'm gonna have to update my, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, to me, that's the difference between the right brain and left brain. Like, for me, it's not, this is what I believe no matter what, and I've got to prove this to be true. And even if it seems like a contradiction, I'm gonna hold on to it. To me, it's like, oh, that doesn't work. Maybe it's just not right. Maybe I need to update that. You know what I mean?
And that, I guess, really is just the difference between the way that our personalities and our brains work. Because, like, it always you always put it in you always frame it that same way, and that always bugs me.
But that's
Because, like,
why
it's not a matter of trying to explain anything away from my perspective. And I don't appreciate the apologetics reference either.
I know you didn't. But that's why I said before I even went into any of that, that's why I said I don't want to be
Uh,
offensive, but I'm trying to get it across in a way, like, I don't mean for it to come across that way, but I don't know a better way to describe it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. To me, it's just uh, I mean, and I'm just since coming back. into Christianity, whatever, like since becoming a Christian again, believing, reconstructing, whatever, I've just become really like kind of fell in love with the history of this thing, the tradition
Yeah.
of it. Like to me, it's not like this doesn't make any sense, but I gotta make some stuff up to make it make sense. To me, it's like I love this rich history of the church and the tradition and wrestling with the scriptures and what they've said about
Right.
all of these things and that's very appealing to me. And all the things that don't resonate with you are like the main things that I like. That
I know it.
like that's what makes Jesus to me is the fact that he is the reconciliation of those opposites or whatever. Like,
But knowing that and just saying what you said, don't you see what I was saying earlier about like
yeah,
thinking about how you're like maybe more right brain and I'm more left brain and how those different things resonate with, you know what I mean? Like just
yeah,
thinking through our personalities and how different things, you know, I don't know. I mean, and
yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like this. Just am. Like,
I really am curious now to conduct our experiment with ChatGPT to see if it'll
yeah.
give us different interpretations.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to say this too. Going back to a little bit to that is that's why, and I've tried to be better about this. And recently, of like we mentioned this yesterday. Actually, we were talking like when I'm talking about some of this stuff with you, I'm not really. I'm trying to talk through my own stuff with you because you're my conversation partner. But like, I don't want to convince you of my like.
Right.
I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong and I'm right because I appreciate the path that you're on. I think that you're on a fantastic path and you're like when I say things don't make sense, what I mean is they don't make sense to me. Like I can't put those to me. If for me to affirm some of these things, it's going to be like, well, it doesn't make sense, but I'm just going to have to accept it. I wholeheartedly believe that's not what you're doing. Like you have a way of understanding it to where it's you don't have that conundrum that I do, and I don't understand that, but I believe you do because I know you because we have these conversations a lot, you know, like,
Yeah.
and so like when I say that, I'm only really talking about myself. Like if I'm going to affirm some of those things, well, that's what it is. It's just well, it doesn't make a lick of sense to me, but I know it has to be this, or well, it just is. Like that's what it would be for me to affirm it,
Right.
you know, like.
Yeah.
But I know that you and millions of others don't have that problem. You know what I mean? And it's not a matter of you just like it's not like you don't think about this stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm not smarter than you. We just think differently. Like
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I really am curious to see what the downstream effects of all the chat GPT stuff is going to be.
yeah,
I really am curious about that and kind of going back to it a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
Like I think that for theology specifically and the church, like I don't know if it'll be on the one hand, I feel like it could be a great tool to educate people to just if you're on there and you're curious, like it could be a great tool to educate people, which could be good for the church.
yeah.
But
It's almost the same conversation that we have about the internet as a whole. Is
well,
has
yeah,
the internet is there a net benefit to the internet or has it just made things worse, right? Because we for sure have way more access to information now with the internet.
right,
And it's pretty easy to see how that's a good thing, but it's caused a lot of bad things too.
right,
You
yeah,
know, and I think that the chat GPT and the AI is just another extension of that. You know, it's just all it is making all that information on the internet condensed down and easier to get to and easier to consume. You know, I mean, I guess
right,
in a sense, because I think most of the stuff, like at least the questions that me and you were asking, are stuff that we could find without it, with just the internet, not going straight to chat GPT, but it would take us a lot longer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All of those things are, and that's kind of the part of the tension is like it feels like it's just taken a lot of that work out of it. But I feel like the work is necessary, maybe. Like the part of me is like, it shouldn't be this easy for me to get a hold of what Maximus is saying. It should require me to actually really dig into his letters and into different theologians and experts in Maximus. I should have to read all of that,
Yeah.
and the scriptures, and it should be something that I have to devote a lot more time and effort into than this.
Yeah.
You know.
It is a real tension because I kind of feel that too, and at the same time, I also feel like as being a super nerd, someone who just wants information. Like I'm always curious. That's why, hence, I've ran out of questions. It won't let me ask any more questions for 5 hours. Like I've got so many questions, and I want all this information, and I only have so much time in a day. Like
Yeah.
it takes me forever just to read a book. The you poor Mr. Wynn at Global Grace who grades my essays. He probably is like once every 4 months I get an essay from this guy because it just takes me that long because I just don't have time. But I'm also like wanting all this information. So ChatGPT has been fantastic because
Yeah.
it's instant. Like I don't have to do all that grunt work. But to your point, I do think there's something to the grunt work too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that it just raises so many interesting questions and different things to think about. You know. I don't know.
So what do you think? I know that you mentioned that you didn't think it was a good thing for like pastors to be delivering a sermon that was written by AI. Why is that?
I don't think so.
Flesh that out for us a little.
I think honestly, it's for the same reason that I just kind of laid out. Like the fact that I shouldn't be able to just ask this thing some really deep theological question about the church fathers and immediately get an answer is the same thing, the same tension I have with like pastors using it for a sermon. Um, it's just too easy. It's because and I think the part of the reason for that is my view of scripture. I think that there is work that the scriptures do in us when we read them. And if we don't read them, I don't know what to do with that. But the thing is, there are certain things like for example, this past and man, the temptation, that's the thing. Like if you're the temptation to use it for that is out of this world. Like if I was like pastoring and preaching, the temptation to use it
Yeah.
as a resource for that. Yeah. Because like so this past Sunday, I went and looked up the lectionary readings
Yeah.
and I just out of curiosity, I like asked ChatGPT if it could create some sort of like connection between all these verses or whatever, and it was perfect. And it was like, "Hey, do you want me to turn this into a sermon?" And I was like, "Well, maybe, maybe I do."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's it's just too easy, and I don't know that. I think that the work is part of our sanctification. I think the part of
Yeah.
the process of us being made more and more into the image of Christ is this wrestling with the scriptures. But if there's no wrestle,
Yeah. See, I was curious where you were going to go with that because I wasn't sure if you would talk about the spiritual aspect of it some, right? Like, I mean, obviously I felt like that would be more your vein than mine, but he's I don't know. Like if you're somebody who believes in that kind of, like the work of the Spirit going into the writing, the because I think most people would agree. Maybe it's not inspired in the way scriptures are, but like you would like to think at least when your pastor's writing a sermon, he's inspired. These words are inspired by the Spirit, right? Like by God,
right?
and that kind of removes that, or I don't know if it actually does remove it, but it feels like it does.
What if ChatGPT is the spirit?
Could be.
I, I I don't mean that literally, but like it is interesting that like that's another one of the potential dangers is like maybe it could at some point in the future maybe it replaces that for us in a sense. Not like there is no replacing the Holy Spirit, but like if we become so dependent upon this is where I'm going to get my information and my answers, and this is where I'm going for my sermons, and this is where I'm going for my biblical interpretation. This is where I'm going to learn about my church history and the fathers, and this is where I'm going for all of this stuff. Like, doesn't it, in a sense, kind of replace uh,
Yeah.
what's the word? A dependency on the Spirit to speak to you and to move you? I don't know. I don't like that.
Unless the spirit's speaking through it, which I think is kind of what you were getting at a while ago.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
It could be. Yeah. I mean, it could be a tool
I
that.
don't know why the spirit could only speak through papyrus and ink, and it couldn't speak through
True. True.
ones and zeros.
True.
So yeah, I don't know. That's one thing I've never with me using. I've only begun using ChatGPT, within the last month, but I haven't really had any. Well, I was gonna say I haven't had any really desire for it to write me out anything like a sermon or anything, but I'm not delivering sermons, so why would I? But
Yeah.
I don't. But even like I know that one of the things with because I write essays for school, and they have a disclaimer like that. Obvious it should be obvious, but if you use AI to write your essay for you, and you get found out, that's going to be a fail. But like I don't have
Right.
any desire to do that. Like, but
Yeah.
it's probably just different for me because I'm not doing the school work just to get a grade. Like I actually want to learn and I want to write. Like that's why I'm
Right.
doing it. So I don't have any desire to use it for that. But
So I mean, it is different. I think if you're using it for a study tool.
yeah.
But yeah.
But I haven't used it yet. I mean, I can see it being a good tool for like asking it questions about topics that come up in class.
Yeah.
As long as it's not writing stuff for you.
Right.
But,
Yeah. It's so it hasn't even ever asked you if you wanted a sermon or
I'm not asking those kind of questions.
I don't ever ask it for that either.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
well, I think your questions. I have, I guess, the only theologian or church father or church history kind of questions I've asked for so far are Tillich.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my questions that I've asked aren't. I mean, they're all philosophy / theology ish questions, but they're
Mm-hmm.
more. They're not the kind of questions you're going to ask to make a sermon out of.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the words that were in my description when I asked it to describe me were theologian, but also pastoral. And so I don't know. It does seem to be it always asks me if I want a sermon
It thinks
or a
thinks you're a
homily.
pastor.
I
That's
guess.
probably because you put the liturgy in there. Oh, nobody's doing that. Only pastors. So it's like this guy's definitely a pastor. He wants a sermon. I know it.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, it's like this guy doesn't know if up is up and down is down. He's this guy's definitely not giving sermons to anybody. Let me
Right.
just tell you that.
Yeah. But yeah, it is interesting how like it even knows
I mean,
what to suggest.
today I asked it how ancient Nordic paganism is related to ancient Vedic paganism. So
Hmm. Well, there you go. I don't even know what those things are.
there you go. It's actually pretty interesting because you can find so ancient Norse paganism is you know what that is. That's Odin, Thor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then ancient Vedic is Hindu. It's what Hinduism comes
Oh,
from.
yeah. I knew that too,
Yeah,
actually.
but a lot of people don't know is because those are far apart. Is that those are actually like you can make a relation between them because you can kind of there's like and I don't remember what it's called. It's like Indo-European paganism that sort of there was a it most people think it come from like the southern Russia areas where it developed, but that was where it started, and then the people migrated outwards, and so there was like one we don't know what it is because this was prehistory, none of it's written down, but like they believe that it's one. It started out as one ancient people, one ancient like kind of religion, and then as the people migrated and years drifted apart, this because it was an oral tradition, things changed, and that's why if you look at the different traditions, there's a whole lot of overlap, right? Like there's the god of thunder, Thor, fights Jormungandr at Ragnarok. Like that's like one of his big epic tales. He fights like the world serpent. Well, like the god of thunder in Hindu does the same thing. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of the same story, different names, different setting, but
Right.
so it's like the same story, and you can kind of trade. But it's most of all that European paganism going from like Norse, Celtic, Roman. Uh, I know it's Asia, but it's the same as the Hindu. They're all related. You can probably trace them back to an ancient ancestor. religion. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of people don't know that, but I think that's interesting to like trace things back to the beginning, like where, not just where did this come from, but like what was it built out of? What was before it? You know, so.
Right.
But anyway, you're probably not going to get a sermon out of that.
No, yeah, that's funny. It it asks me if I want poems and liturgy and
Because it
homilies.
knows your right brain.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, I think maybe it does somehow.
The
Yeah.
more that we talk about this, the more interested I am to know if it's going to give us different answers because it knows me too.
Yeah, it's funny. Oh, well, maybe we should take a vote. Maybe no one's watching this. No one. We're gonna release this and it's gonna say we got 20 views or whatever. I don't believe it. No one's watching this. But if anyone happens to be watching this, leave some comments. What do you think? Do you think that ChatGPT is it a good tool? Is it good for the church? Will it uh replace the Holy Spirit? What do you think? Should pastors be using it for their sermons? Let us know.
Do you think it would be negative for like a pastor to write a sermon but then run it through ChatGPT to like beef it up?
That may be a gray area. I'm not sure. Because you are putting the effort into it,
Right.
and then it's kind of like having someone proofread it for you.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I think that makes me more comfortable than just having it outright write it for you.
Yeah. Because you could even I mean, you could literally do anything with ChatGPT, but like you could like write out the sermon and then put it, and then like say, I'm concerned about this area not getting through because I have like, you could even like explain, like I have a congregation that's like a mixed congregation of these types of folks, and I'm afraid that this will reach these and not those. And like,
Yeah.
it could probably help you develop a thing where you're saying things in a way that is going to maybe grab the attention of everybody or more people than you would have had you not
Right.
gotten this suggestion. There's all kinds of help you could get.
See, I think that
Yeah.
makes that to me. There's a lot of good potential there. You know.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah.
And one thing is for sure, it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So we can't just be like, well, this is a bad thing, so we got to put an end to it. It's not. That's not how things work.
Yeah.
It's not going to end. So we've got to figure out a way forward with it that is healthy.
The snowball's already rolling downhill.
Yeah, it's way past that.
Yeah.
It's probably running the government. Actually,
Maybe.
I think I would be more comfortable with that than the people that are running it.
Is are the people in power and making all the decisions, are they asking ChatGPT what they should do?
I think that would be more effort than some of them are putting in.
Mm, I think some of them, it just kind of depends on how much money they're making off of
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah.
I'll vote however you want, just pay me. Which is why George McDonald said what he said.
Yeah. Oh, Giorgio.
Yeah. But see, guys like that didn't have ChatGPT. That's another thing, because I am sort of right brain. That's another thing that I am worried about. I'm afraid it's going to remove our creativity and our any artistic ability that we have left in us. I mean, that's a surely not. Surely not. But like will literally do everything for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I can see that argument, and I can see a counter argument to that too. Because to me, part of what has hindered artwork, not just visible, but musically, any kind of art, is that everything in our current society is monetized. So instead of doing things for the joy of art, a lot of times it's motivated by how can I make money off this thing, which hinders it anyway. So, like, if the commercial side of artwork is handed off to AI, then we maybe get more genuine artwork that's made out of passion instead of seeking to make a profit off of it.
Possibly, yeah. Could be. I just know that that temptation is there, even if you're someone who fancies yourself a little bit artistic.
Yeah, I can
Because
see it.
like I was trying to get it to make us like a video intro, like an animated video intro, and like I told it what kind of music I wanted and everything, and like I've been lazy about it, but like I've been wanting to record an intro,
Yeah.
some music for us to use and like replace what we have right now with something that I've actually created myself and like write all the parts and record it and all that myself.
Oh, it's gonna have to be yourself because I, the left brain guy here is not playing any instruments. I could probably play a recorder. I can keep a solid beat.
I've got folks that could help me with it though. But yeah, I thought about doing that, but then I typed in like exactly what I kind of envisioned, but I think I broke it. It never sent me anything. It said, "Okay, I'll send you a sample of that." Didn't do it.
See, I've had an issue with my ChatGPT doing that too. The one time I tried to get it to make me a video, it said it was going to do it, and then it never did.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe it's something about the visual because we're not subscribers or whatever.
Well, you would think that it would tell you that, unless it did and I ignored it.
Maybe it's just not that smart.
Why would it even, if it wasn't, if you had to have a higher thing, why would it even let you go through all the process of like creating it
Yeah, I don't
only
know.
to not be able to get it?
I don't know, but it did the same thing for me.
Yeah. Maybe it would be
I
worth
was just, it
paying
was
for it.
like one of the first things I tried to do with it because I was just playing around with it.
Yeah.
And I tried to like do like a video of me walking on a beach with reggae music playing, just like trying to make a silly video.
Yeah.
And it said, sure, I'm working on it. And then it just never did it.
Hmm. Yeah. So, have you looked into how much like the plus is or whatever?
I actually didn't even know that was a thing until I broke it today.
I wonder how much the plus is, because it might be worth it if we could use it to,
Yeah.
help the podcast with,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, it could be worth it anyway for just as much as I'm using it. Like, because today I didn't just ask theological questions or philosophical questions. I was asking, because I got the idea today, I was going to ask it. So, this is maybe an aspect about me that a lot of people don't know, but that I'm really into genealogy.
Yeah.
I've spent years and years and years and years and
Think about
years
that.
doing family tree stuff.
Yeah.
Like I used to do I had subscription paying $20 a month to ancestry.com. I've done the DNA testing. I've like spent hours reading census records, birth certificates, marriage, like I've put the time and the effort into this thing and I've got like a lot of it figured out. But then I was like, I wonder if this thing could help me. So I got that
Yeah.
idea today, and so like I was just asking it, like this is the information that I have about this ancestor, and a lot of that genealogy stuff is kind of guesswork in a way. It's almost like a hypothesis. Like I think this person's related to me, like fits here, and then you try to like do the experiment to see like does it work. And so I thought that the Chat GPT could possibly help with that, like to confirm or deny, because it has
Yeah.
access to so much information that it would take me forever to dig through that.
Yeah.
So I was asking it a lot of stuff about that today too.
Interesting.
So
Yeah. I haven't thought to do that. I've only been asking theological questions, basically. I mean, yeah, I asked a couple things about politics and stuff today too, but and some stuff about the podcast. But yeah, for the most part, it's all been theological stuff.
I mean if I was going to use it for stuff like that and it actually was going to help me, then I could see depending on how much it was going to cost, yeah, it might be worth it.
Doing the plus, yeah.
I might look into it myself.
I've been on overtime. I'm freaking tired, bro.
I feel pretty good. I've tried to refocus myself on my health. I haven't been doing such a good job about that. And like it seems like I'm in this terrible cycle right now to where I will do really good Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday's the worst.
Right.
Not just diet wise, but like the beer wise as well.
Yeah.
And then it makes me feel terrible. And I'm also almost 40, and I would like to live to see my child graduate. And so I'm trying to get my health under control, So this week I've really tried to focus on like I'm drinking my water. I've always exercised, but I'm being more consistent with my lifting, and
Right.
trying to eat a little healthier. And
Yeah.
um, I'm flirting with the sobriety word, but it's it's daunting in my head, but
Yeah.
for health reasons, I think it may be a good decision. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, all that to be said, I feel pretty good because I've been really trying to focus on my health this week. I've been getting good sleep. I've been eating good, drinking lots of water. I'm not working overtime. So
Right. Yeah. I didn't get a ton of sleep last night. We had Bible study, and then uh, once I got home from that, which I got home a little bit later from that because I was talking and stuff afterwards. But then um, Candace was next door at our pastor slash Aunt Knuckles house, so we were talking to them for a while. I didn't even go to sleep until it was probably almost 11 o'clock. I had to get up at well, I got up later than I should have. I thought I was gonna be late this morning. I barely made it. But yeah, I had to be at work at 5. It's like a 30-minute drive, so I had to be up by about 4.
I always get up at 4 anyway to run, but like after we came home last night from Bible study, I was out unconscious. Like one of the best nights of sleep. My Garmin tracks that stuff, and my body battery was like where it was at, and then as soon as I went to sleep, it was like 100. Boom, rested.
Mm.
Perfect. Like, man, it is crazy how fast your body will bounce back from like if you don't do good, if you like just a couple days of drinking your water and eating right, getting good exercise, good sleep, feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
But the big test is today's Thursday, tomorrow's the weekend. Can't ruin it.
I'm gonna be a bad influence on you.
Probably.
We need to go to Homer's.
I know we do. And it's going to be really hard for me to go to Homer's and not drink a beer, at least one. The problem with that is how many times have you seen me just drink one beer?
Never, actually. I don't think that I've ever.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. So that's the problem for me.
Yeah. Well, Homer. I don't even know. I don't remember what the specials were this week or this month. I mean, they have like those monthly
I don't remember either. Somebody
specials
sent
or
them.
whatever.
Somebody in our group message sends it to us every month, but I don't remember what they are.
Yeah.
I don't really
Man, that
care,
sounds good
to
though.
be honest. I just whatever it is, I'll eat it. It's going to be good. I've never had anything there that I was like, "Ooh, this is gross."
I have thought about maybe trying the hometown roots,
Yeah,
but it's almost like I don't want to go all the way down there and not go to Homer's.
me and Kelly's talked about that before. We will kind of want to try that, but if you're there, why would you
Right.
not eat Homer's?
Yeah. But it's the same folks, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's delicious. If it's anything like Homer's, it's going to be delicious. But I also kind of like Homer's, like that style of food better anyway.
It's got a cool vibe.
Yeah.
They have good beer.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man.
They have a solid house IPA.
hmm I'm assuming it's brewed by Henderson Brewing
I think so.
right down the road there.
I do believe so.
I've never been in there.
They're actually doing a beer festival this Saturday in Madisonville.
Oh, yeah?
Western Kentucky Beer Fest.
I think I saw something about that last year.
Yeah. I'm not going.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to, but I'm not.
They're gonna have like several different breweries
Yeah.
come.
I think it said for all I don't remember if it's a pint or what the size, it's like $5 per one, and they have different stuff going on. Like one of the things I seen that I've always wanted to do was like the stein holding competition, where you like hold the full beer stein out, and whoever holds it the longest wins. Because like that, when I did a the first strongman competition I ever did, that's the one event that I won first place in overall. Was it was a weight, you just hold it out in front of you like this, and I actually won first place. Like that's something I'm good at, surprisingly, because my shoulders are destroyed, but.
Right.
They're destroyed from pressing, so it hurts to press. But that kind of movement, I'm still good at, and um, so yeah, I wouldn't mind trying that in a competition sometime. But I'm not going to do it this weekend because number one, we've got stuff to do Saturday, so I'm already busy. And number two, I literally just told you that I'm trying to cut back on the amount of beer I'm drinking.
Yeah, I don't know if we have plans this weekend or not. I know Candace is supposed to be helping with that progressive dinner thing.
That's the plans that I have Saturday.
Oh.
We're hosting
Uh,
appetizers, I believe.
appetizers. Speaking of appetizers, I am really hungry actually.
All right, well, let's go eat. I mean, I've got pizza. I don't know what you're eating. Actually, you're probably eating Fireball.
Am I? Candace have leftovers?
Yep.
Probably.
So I took your wife on a lunch date today, so
Did you? uh, yeah. I know she's been going there for lunch because they had some kind of. She said they have like a pretty good lunch deal there.
yeah. No, we did go to lunch, but not just me and your wife. Me, my wife, and your wife.
I assumed Kelly was there.
But we did go to Fireball, and she did have leftovers. So
Yeah. Well, that'll be fine. I don't know. I figured it was either that or we would go get Mexican really quick. Being honest, Mexican is gonna be a lot easier for me on my diet than Fireball, but whatever.
I had
What
a
it is.
sushi bento bowl there. It was really good. Or bento box, not bowl.
Bento
It
box.
was really good too, by the way. But anyway,
They have those on the cruise ship,
can't wait.
just so you know.
I might eat one. I'm gonna eat some sushi. I love it.
I'm pretty sure they do. Pretty sure they have the sushi bento boxes on the Mardi Gras.
You know what we should talk about next week?
What's that?
The question I asked in Bible study right off the bat yesterday. You probably thought I was going to start swinging because I come out hot and heavy. The very first question I asked:
I don't remember what you asked actually.
Is there any ethical way to be rich?
Oh, yeah. I do remember you saying that, and I do remember having. Now that you say that, I remember you saying that, and I remember having that reaction. I remember thinking, "Well, alrighty, here we go."
I thought it was hilarious because I haven't been to Bible study in I don't know when months, and the first thing I say is like, because we were for the audience, we're studying James chapter 5, which starts out hot and heavy against rich people.
Yeah,
And usually this is nothing to the people because everybody that we were in study with had like really good insights, and they didn't say anything that I was like responding to necessarily. I was just asking the question because it's something that I struggle with, like asking.
yeah,
But most of the time, my experience, anytime we start talking about like some of the condemnation of wealth and money when it comes, like people try to start skirting around. Like, I don't know if there's any
yeah,
problem with being rich. Like I don't have anything against rich people. And like, so the very first thing that out of my mouth is there any possible way to be rich and that be ethical? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Actually, I tend to think not, to be honest. Just I didn't say that last night, but if I'm being honest, I don't think it's possible to be rich. And I mean, I'm certainly not rich, and I even sometimes I'm like, am I living ethically? Like,
right, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there may be a certain level at which it's okay. Like if you, so like this is actually something I've thought about because like working where I work, I don't want to be there. It's like so like I would like hear how much the lottery was going to be, and I was like, well, if I won that lottery, what all we could daydreaming
yeah,
about what you would do with all the money or
oh yeah.
whatever. And so, but once I started reconstructing my faith and become a Christian again,
Once you
I was
became a
like,
justice-oriented disciple,
right. I was I would still think about winning the lottery, but I would think, man, think about how much good I could do with this. So like I think that like if your heart is in that place, I think it's okay to have the money and knowing that you're going to do good with it.
yeah,
If you're actually the thing is, it's that just like power, money has that sort of like
yeah.
draw to it. It's almost like it won't let you be good.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
because I've had the similar thought before, but it's almost always in my mind. It works out to like, well, I'll take care of myself first. Like I'm gonna retire from my job and I'm gonna buy this nice, beautiful mansion on the beach and not have to work ever again. But then I'll still have enough left over to be really good to everybody else too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't even know if that's like sometimes this is just being open and transparent. Like sometimes I feel guilty about like because there's been times I've taken 3 vacations to the beach in one year, and like at the same time there's people
Yeah.
starving, like
Right.
people that don't have food, they don't have houses, and like I'm spending this money on just what? Like recreation, just to,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like even that to me comes to like, is that ethical? Like, is that Jesus did say if you had two coats and you knew somebody that didn't have one to give your second one to that person, like, isn't that kind of
Yeah.
equivalent to me taking a vacation when there are people in my own community that don't have a place to lay their head? Like, I don't know. It's a tough
Yeah.
one, you know?
Yeah, it is.
That's a hard saying.
Yeah, I've asked myself that a lot. Jesus talked about money a lot, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
Never favorably.
I'm certainly not rich by any means, but like you know, I don't think anybody would confuse me for being rich, but even I have enough to where it's like, is it ethical? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you think about how much money you spend in vacations per year,
yeah,
and then you think, what could I do with that money? How could I help people that need it with that money?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It is a tough one.
Which you can go down that rabbit hole so far that it almost becomes a crazy thing in within itself, right? Because immediately my mind went to even just, we were just talking about drinking beer. Like, how much money have I spent on beer this year?
Yeah,
Like, I don't have an ethical, obviously, I don't have an ethical problem with drinking beer as far as like morally, but like when you think about all that money down the drain, that like, but then again, if I didn't spend it on that, I would have spent it on something else.
it it can only lead you because I mean, you can literally do that all the way down to like, well, why don't you sell your house too? You know, if you have any kind of
That's what I'm saying.
if you have enough equity in your home, you could use that and you could give all that money away. And but then you're homeless and
Well, the Son of Man has no place to lay his head.
and poor and you have no money and yeah,
I mean, if you want to get literal and take Jesus seriously, that's the way he lived, and that's, you know, what must I do to follow you? Well, the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Like,
sell everything you have,
yeah,
follow me.
I mean,
Yeah,
not
man.
saying I'm going to do that, but it is something that like I do. I take that so seriously that I wrestle with it. Like, to me, it is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
moral quandary. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I wrestle with it too. Uh,
but then times that by somebody that has the wealth of like a Elon Musk or somebody
right.
who has $1 billion of net worth. You know, Bill Gates or
Yeah. That's why I really do think that there are levels to this. Like, not to let myself off the hook, but like, because like I said, I've had the same thought that you're talking about there too for myself. But yeah, like if you're someone who has just an ungodly amount of wealth, I mean, I feel like you could give some of that away. You could give 90% of what you have away and still be rich.
I mean, I at least do just own one home,
Right.
the one I live in, right? For
Yeah,
me
yeah,
and
yeah.
my family to have a shelter, but like it's like I own multiple. Like if you, that's where I can really get onto. Like to me, that's not even a moral quandary. Like if you own multiple homes and there are homeless people, I don't know how you.
Yeah. That's the point I think also where it starts to get real like I don't know, man. But you know what? I've been wanting to look into Impact Nations. You know, I've told you about them
Hmm.
before. I love the podcast. Um, but they do mission work. I've been thinking about looking into that and seeing.
Yeah, maybe we could do a back pew convos. You know, teaming up with Impact Nations to help with their whatever mission that they're doing.
Yeah, somehow they have a way into Gaza.
I mean, obviously they're a much bigger, more well organized than us. So when I say partner with them, I don't mean like come on as a like I mean like we like what you guys are doing and we'd like to be a part of it kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, they do. I think they're called Journeys of Compassion, is what they call them. But like mission trips, like you can go out. There's they have you can go all over the place.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's several people that I know and trust speak highly of them. So like I wouldn't have any problems giving like sending them money and stuff too.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one thing from the Honduras trip that I still maintain, man. I loved doing that kind of work.
yeah,
And I mean, you can remember even
with me personally, like I'm not comfortable doing the evangelism stuff. Like I don't want to go places and like preach to them, or like I don't care about that. Like I want to go and do work. Like when we were in Honduras, I kind of like didn't want not that I disagreed with or had a problem with like doing the like little stations where we were like praying with people and doing all, like I think that's good work too. It's just not my thing, you know. But like I was at home pouring concrete for Miss Lorena. Like that's what I want to go and help people in that kind of way. But like ever the other stuff is good too, but that's somebody else's calling, not mine. You know.
Yeah.
So, but that's something that I really enjoy doing, is being able to go and help. Like, I mean, there's people around here that we can help too, but
Yeah.
it's the easy thing about those foreign missions like that is that it's well organized. Like the people that put it together plan all that stuff for, like, we just had to raise the money and show up, you know what I mean? And like what needed, the people that needed work, we had a place to stay, and like that was all organized. It's just so much more organized. Like to do stuff around here, you have to do the organization yourself, and that just is a lot more. I mean, not that you shouldn't put in the effort to do it, but it does require a lot more.
Yeah.
So
One thing I really like about them is they seem committed to not colonizing,
yeah,
and they also are committed to like trying to not just like show up and do some stuff for them and then abandon them, but like show up and like try to teach them skills, things that they could use to
yeah.
actually where they're okay when they leave, you know.
Yeah, it's not just give a man a fish, but also teach him to fish. That's
Yeah.
the thing about that analogy, that that's the scenario that gets left out. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You
Yeah.
give them a fish and then you teach them how to fish. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, I dig that too.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right,
like I said, I'm hungry. Let's get out of here.
let's get the freak out of here.
You're listening to Back Pew Convos.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Sal. And this is the podcast God wants you to listen to.
So if you want to remain in God's will, have a sit down
Grab a beverage of your choice.
and have a listen.
You're welcome.